FastMCP 3 implements tag-based authorization through middleware-driven scope validation, where component-level tags trigger conditional access control via global middleware checks. This pattern enables declarative security policies that apply uniformly across all registered tools while maintaining fine-grained visibility control. The upcoming code demonstrates how to configure a FastMCP server with multiple AuthMiddleware instances that enforce scope requirements based on component tags, showing both the middleware setup and the tagged tool definitions that will be subject to these authorization rules. From FastMCP, import FastMCP. From FastMCP server auth, import restrict tag. From FastMCP server middleware, import AuthMiddleware. MCP equals FastMCP. Tag-based auth server. Middleware equals. AuthMiddleware auth equals restrict tag admin. Scopes equals admin. AuthMiddleware auth equals restrict tag write. Scopes equals write. At MCP, tool tags equals admin. Def delete all data SDR. Requires admin scope. Return deleted. At MCP, tool tags equals write. Def update recorded. SDR data. SDR. It requires write scope. Return F updated id. At MCP, tool. Def read recorded. SDR. No tag restrictions, accessible to all. Return F record id. This implementation demonstrates a tag-based authorization system using FastMCP's middleware architecture. The pattern leverages AuthMiddleware with restrict tag checks to enforce scope requirements based on component tags. Two middleware instances are configured, one requiring the admin scope for components tagged with admin, and another requiring the write scope for components tagged with write. This approach provides granular access control while maintaining clean separation of concerns. The system uses FastMCP's automatic tool registration, where the @MCP tool decorator handles schema generation and validation. Tools are tagged with specific scopes, admin or write, and the middleware enforces these requirements globally. The read record tool has no tag restrictions, making it accessible to all users. This design allows for flexible authorization policies that can be applied across multiple components without duplicating auth logic. The trade-off here is between flexibility and complexity. While tag-based auth reduces code duplication, it requires careful tag management to avoid security gaps. The middleware approach ensures consistent enforcement, but adds processing overhead to every request. This pattern is particularly useful in microservices architectures, where different operations require varying permission levels, and it aligns with OAuth's scope-based authorization model. Let's break it down. From FastMCP, import FastMCP. Imports the FastMCP class from the FastMCP module, providing access to the Model Context Protocol framework for creating and managing LLM tools and components. From FastMCP server auth, import restrict tag. Imports the restrict tag function from the FastMCP server authentication module, which provides tag-based authorization restrictions for components. From FastMCP server middleware, import AuthMiddleware. Imports the AuthMiddleware class from the FastMCP server middleware module, which provides server-wide authorization enforcement capabilities. MCP equals FastMCP. Instantiates a FastMCP object and assigns it to the variable MCP. This creates a new instance of the Model Context Protocol implementation that will serve as the core interface for tool registration, context management, and LLM integration. The constructor call begins here with no visible parameters, suggesting default configuration will be used unless additional parameters follow in subsequent lines.
Tag-based auth server.
Declares a string literal tag-based auth server as a standalone expression. This appears to be a descriptive label or identifier, likely used for documentation, logging, or configuration purposes within the FastMCP authentication system. The string itself doesn't perform any operation, but serves as a human-readable descriptor for a server component that handles tag-based authorization.
AuthMiddleware auth equals restrict tag admin. Scopes equals admin.
Creates an AuthMiddleware instance that enforces admin-only access by applying a tag-based restriction. The restrict tag function is configured to require the admin scope specifically for components tagged with admin. This middleware will globally enforce that any component with the admin tag can only be accessed by tokens containing the admin scope.
AuthMiddleware auth equals restrict tag write. Scopes equals write.
Creates an AuthMiddleware instance configured with a tag-based restriction that requires the write scope for components tagged with write. The middleware will enforce this authorization check globally across all components, blocking access to any component with the write tag unless the request includes a token with the write scope. Components without this tag remain unaffected by this specific restriction.
At MCP, tool tags equals admin. Def delete all data SDR. Requires admin scope.
Defines a function, delete all data, decorated with @MCP tool and tagged as admin, which registers it as a tool in FastMCP with the name delete all data and requires the admin scope for authorization. The function returns a string and includes a docstring indicating the admin scope requirement.
Return deleted.
Returns the string literal, deleted, as the result of the function execution.
At MCP, tool tags equals write. Def update recorded. SDR data, SDR. It requires write scope.
Defines a function, update record decorated with @MCP tool that requires a write scope tag, accepting an id string and data string as parameters, and returns a string. The docstring explicitly states it requires write scope authorization.
Return f updated id.
Returns a formatted string indicating successful update of an entity identified by the variable id. The string follows the pattern updated id, where id is replaced by the actual identifier value. This serves as a simple confirmation message for the operation.
At MCP, tool. Def read recorded, SDR. No tag restrictions, accessible to all.
Defines a function, read record decorated with @MCP tool, making it available as a tool in the FastMCP framework. The function takes a string parameter id and returns a string. The docstring explicitly states there are no tag restrictions, meaning this tool is accessible to all users without any authorization requirements.
Return f record id.
Returns a formatted string containing the text record followed by the value of the id variable. This creates a simple string representation of a record identifier, such as record 123 if id is 123. The f-string syntax enables direct variable interpolation into the string literal. FastMCP3's tag-based authorization leverages middleware-driven scope validation to enforce declarative security policies across components. The pattern uses AuthMiddleware instances configured with restrict tag checks to globally enforce scope requirements based on component tags. In this implementation, two middleware instances are set up, one requiring the admin scope for components tagged with admin, and another requiring the write scope for components tagged with write. This design allows for fine-grained access control while maintaining a clean separation of concerns. The FastMCP tool decorator registers functions as tools in FastMCP, with tags specifying the required scopes. For example, delete all data is tagged with admin, requiring the admin scope, while update record is tagged with write, requiring the write scope. The read record function has no tag restrictions, making it accessible to all users. This approach ensures that authorization logic is applied consistently across all components without duplicating code. The trade-off here is between flexibility and complexity. While tag-based authorization reduces code duplication, it requires careful tag management to avoid security gaps. The middleware approach ensures consistent enforcement, but adds processing overhead to every request. This pattern is particularly useful in microservices architectures, where different operations require varying permission levels, aligning with OAuth's scope-based authorization model.
The untagged tool hands its data to empty air, while the admin tool locks its door and throws away the key.